Hello everybody, Dan here. Welcome back to Daily Soap Dish. If you're new here, please hit that subscribe button down below because we cover a ton of 90 Day Fiancé right here on the channel. Let's get right into it, guys. So today's story is about Paul Staehle and Karini Martins Staehle. We haven't spoken about these two in quite some time, and as everybody knows, this is one of the most, if not the most toxic couple that we have ever seen on the show. Of course, they're not a couple right now, but they're always kind of talking about each other. At least Paul talks about Karini, and they are also involved, or at least Karini is involved in a custody battle to try to get her kids, her and Paul's kids, try to get custody of them back. And so today's video, we're going to talk about a few things. One, Paul shared a troubling but weird and perhaps fake update about his life and how he ended up in the hospital after a violent encounter in Brazil. And two, we'll talk a little bit about what Karini is saying or doing in regards to the custody battle that she is doing to try to get her kids back. So let's get right into it. Let's check this out here, guys. Let's see what's going on with Paul Staehle. So Paul Staehle in hospital after violent encounter, ? So 90 Day Fiancé fans never know what to expect with Paul and his antics. Most recently, it seems he wound up in the hospital. So what happened this time around with the troubled TLC 90 Day Fiancé star? This comes to us from TV Shows Ace. Now, Paul is one of the most unpredictable personalities ever cast by TLC. To be honest, guys, by this point in time, I'm not even sure that we can refer to Paul Staehle as a TLC personality. He hasn't had ties with the show in about 3 years, if not longer than that. Him and Karini were deemed too toxic for reality TV. And as you guys know, reality TV thrives on toxicity. If it ain't toxic, it ain't worth watching. Basically, that's kind of how it goes. And we've seen a lot of that with TLC just insisting on casting Angela, Big Ed, Jasmine and Gino, etc., etc. And so it's shocking that, Paul and Karini were basically removed from the show for their extreme toxicity. But of course, the issue with Paul and Karini is that there are videos about just how violent and abusive they can get to each other. And we've seen them get abusive with each other in videos with their kids being around, and the cops were also involved. So that obviously changes the dynamics of the whole situation a little bit, and I think it's the reason why TLC had to can them, because we've spoken about this before. But liability, when you have situations like in the Michael and Angela situation where, Michael is saying he's fearing for his life, insurance and liabilities, they change the dynamics of having those people on. And obviously with Paul and Karini and with, like life threats and all kinds of other things going on, it was obviously difficult for TLC to keep this couple on. Now, as longtime TLC fans know, the network has a long history of casting eccentric and unpredictable people. The more likely they are to fly off the handle and do something crazy, the more the network wants to stick a camera in their face. Now, the reason for that is because this is what, unfortunately, a lot of the viewers want to see. That has been the case for Paul Staehle ever since he first filmed 90 Day Fiancé scenes with his estranged wife, or ex, and baby mama, Karini Martins. As viewers keeping up with this situation know, things got bad enough that CPS had to step in and take their two young boys away. Now, those young boys are now, staying with a family member of Paul. One of the many reasons that Paul Staehle still has over 500,000 followers on social media is because of how unpredictable he is. I would say, no, that's not really the case. It's once you get followers, you don't necessarily lose them, even if you start doing all kinds of crazy stuff. 90 Day Fiancé fans never know what the next wild thing will be that will happen to him. Based on the latest updates from Paul, it seems that his attempt to do a good deed backfired in a good way. So Paul took to social media and told his 90 Day Fiancé followers, "Horrible day today. I felt bad for a single mother who got out of a violent relationship and bought her diapers and food for her babies. I have no romantic relationship with her. Her ex-boyfriend and baby father assaulted me to the point that I had to take an ambulance to the hospital." Now, you guys know, this is not the first wild thing that Paul is involved in. And so a lot of people are obviously going to be very skeptical that this is true in the first place. Interestingly, Paul also shared pics of him in what appears to be the back of an ambulance. Along with that, he shared another pic in what appears to be the hospital as well. But 90 Day Fiancé fans who have followed Paul for years take everything he says with a grain of salt, as we do here on the channel, and as you viewers do as well. And a lot of the commenters have plenty to say about his recent updates. Now, since fans are only getting Paul's version of events, many are actually questioning that what he says allegedly happened actually happened at all. Along with that, many commenters put forth some wild theories as to why Paul is really in the hospital in the first place. Now, this looks here on the left, it looks like he is in perhaps an ambulance. I'm not exactly sure if that's an ambulance or a room now in a hospital. Now, we don't really see his face. We only see the bottom part or bottom portion of his legs in here, or his feet. And in the second picture, it says neurosurgery in Portuguese. And so still in Brazil, at a Brazilian hospital somewhere. And he's in the neurosurgery area, which is interesting. I'm not exactly sure what that means, but if you just get into an altercation, I'm not sure they're going to bring it to neurosurgery. Seems a little odd to me. One fan said he was probably harassing a single mom and creeped her out, and her BD or brother or friend beat his ass up. Somebody else said, no one knows what Paul would about Paul, would never take his word seriously at all. And another person said, so taking better care of someone else's kids. Got it. So, we'll see what if Paul posts anything else about this, but people are not really, they're not buying the story. People are saying that he's taking care of somebody else's kids because, of course, he's not taking care of his own kids, but he can't because he doesn't have custody, and he is actively trying to help Karini. Well, help is a weird way of putting it because Paul doesn't help anything. Every time he opens his mouth, what he is doing is the opposite of help because he is so toxic, and also he is trying to help Karini out with doing OnlyFans and other things where she is basically selling herself and her body for money. And I just don't see how that would help her case with CPS, with custody, with trying to get her kids back. I don't. But Paul has been trying to pimp out Karini in the past, and this is the relationship that they have now, is that basically he tries to promote all of the, selling of her stuff that she does online, and he'll do that on his Instagram periodically. So, this other person says, this bothers me as well, acting like this benevolent giver, yet it pains me that those young boys were born into such a mess. I have to agree with that. No one knows about Paul, would never take his word seriously, unless there is genuine evidence it didn't happen the way he described. If it was true, it's too bad they didn't just finish the job. Just joking. Paul will end up floating in the Amazon without his body condom, some other person says. You mean swimming with the kangaroo? This was a long time coming. If someone beat your ass that bad, I don't think you'd be able to be on socials posting. Now, I got to say that in the pictures that we see here, we don't actually see any injuries, right? So I think that's the first tell that this might not necessarily have went down the way that Paul Staehle says it did. Where's the injury? We don't see one. And you have to believe that if there was an injury, if he got assaulted so bad that he had to go and be rushed in an ambulance to the emergency, you have to think that there will be some kind of major injury, right? Where's the injury? We don't see anything. He's just lying there in this bed, I guess, on the left with no visible injuries in sight. It's possible he went to the hospital for another reason, and he is just coming up with a crazy story to kind of stir up drama and controversy once again. So what is Paul doing? So, he posted this about a month ago, and I missed this when he posted it. But here he is showing a picture, and he is captioning this in Portuguese here. Now, I'm not going to try to read it, but I believe I can understand the gist of it. And this is what he says. My sons were born in the Amazon, Brazil. They were loved by all of their family and were always treated with love and tenderness. They are missing their native family or their family, their original family. what he's saying is they're missing Karini's family in the Amazon. And he's showing proof of the love that they're getting here. And I'm guessing these videos are a little bit old. And so he is trying to campaign. He's not campaigning for himself because he doesn't live in the USA. He lives in Brazil now. So how would he even get custody? It's kind of weird because Paul lives in Brazil and Karini is the one living in the USA. Karini is the one with the job. Karini is the one that is trying to get the kids back. But Paul is doing things like this to, in his mind, help her case along. Let's see if he posted anything interesting to his stories. So here's what he does. Bored at home, $5 cameos, cheap laughs, practicing some new stand-up comedy. Paul Staehle, 90 Day Fiancé. So I think we figured it out, guys. I think we just realized what is going on here. Paul Staehle needs money. So Paul Staehle puts out outrageous story about something that happened to him in Brazil. Paul Staehle then goes on Instagram and advertises Cameo. You guys see what's going on? I think that's what's going on. I have to think that's what's happening here. And then he's sharing this about Amazonas energy. I'm not exactly sure what's going on there. Something about anxiety, stress, problems, and then having a trip to Brazil and how that cures everything. Harris Steer, I don't know what that is. I'm more curious about seeing Paul himself than him sharing other people. I don't know if this is him.
The bucket is out his toy out. How smart are you?
He's sharing something about a dog.
Look, he's going back to this morning's house.
I don't know why he is sharing this. I'm not sure that I fully understand. But I also wanted to go to Karini because Karini shared something interesting as well. And if we go to Karini here, she shared this just yesterday. So Karini is trying to get her kids back. And as you guys know, we've been talking a lot about this recently. She now has a GoFundMe to try to get her kids back. And basically what she wants is she wants to pay for her lawyer. And so supposedly she has, over $5,800 left to reach her goal. And she shared a link here, and you can donate to her. And I believe this will go for her lawyer fees. I saw that somewhere. It's not here now, but I believe that is what's going on here, and that's why she is posting this. So Karini is asking, in a way, begging people for money so that she can pay for her lawyer to get her sons back. Now, you guys will let me know if you think that donating to Karini Martins, who has been involved in a toxic situation and who herself was a part of the problem. She wasn't a part of the solution, but she was a part of the problem, in my opinion, because I think that in this situation, it takes two to tango. I don't think that Paul or Karini were innocent at all in the kids being taken away. And I think that generally it has to be a pretty extreme toxic situation before the authorities decide that you are no longer allowed to parent those kids. And so I think it takes two to tango. And so why would you donate to a person that was, deemed to be unable to provide a safe, nurturing environment for their own kids in the first place? Do you really think that things are going to change in the future? And of course, Paul, while he's saying the stuff that, Karini, she, we want to get the kids back. They deserve to have a happy family. They deserve to be reunited with their family in the Amazon and Brazil and whatnot. While he's saying all of this, he's also said some damaging things about Karini, and he's also called her a bunch of names that are not flattering. And also, he's also said that her exes were kind of like criminals and, people that were involved in all kinds of shady stuff. And so when Paul is saying those things, you have to wonder that the authorities are seeing that information and they're wondering, like, Karini wants to get her kids back, but she is not able to make proper decisions for herself. She's getting herself involved with all kinds of shady people. And so how would it make sense to give her kids when she might be putting them in a situation where she could be harming them? And so I don't know how it makes any sense, but this is Paul and Karini that we're talking about. And so that is the latest with Karini. She has started a GoFundMe to ask people to donate for money so that she can get help to hire some lawyers and to try to get her kids back. I won't be donating, but you guys are free to do so. I'm just letting you know what's going on with these two. So a lot of crazy stuff. I'm not sure that I buy the Paul story. You guys will let me know if you think that's true, but I would have liked to see the injuries, right? Where are the injuries? You got assaulted. Show me the injuries. Show me that you got a broken leg. Show me that you're bleeding profusely. Show me something. Otherwise, I don't know if I fully believe it. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. This was the latest update with Paul and Karini. Please give it a big thumbs up. If you did, hit that subscribe button down below for more content here on the channel. Also, my opinion is I don't know that Karini or Paul, I don't know if they'll ever be able to get their kids back, but they are definitely trying. So that's the video for today. I'll see you guys next time. Take care.